Hello guys and welcome to this week's ITFC Unrestricted podcast. How are we all doing this week? I hope you've had a good week. I've had a really good week. I'm still riding the wave of momentum from last weekend. Obviously it was great to see Ipswich get back underway with a win. Terrific performance. Early days, but hopefully we can keep riding that wave of momentum throughout the season. But what a fantastic F1 race for any of you that are for F1 fans. The Italian Grand Prix was fantastic. Great to see, and not see a Mercedes win for once. It's been a little bit boring the last couple of years, but you got to keep hanging in there, and these races do come about. I was a little bit gutted that my boys at McLaren couldn't quite get the job done, but all the same, fantastic result. And yeah, as I record this today, I found my musical icon and fashion idol Noel Gallagher is working on some new music with Camel Fat. They're a sort of dance music sort of producers, so that should be interesting. It's always good to get some new music, even if the music world's a little bit crap these days. When someone you like is bringing out some music, that's always good. But yeah, that's what lockdown was really good for, I found. Going back through time and discovering some new music from, it might be 30, 40, even 50 years old. There's some great music. That's what Spotify is great for. You just want to have a look through the annals of history and try and find something a little bit different. I found this band through Noel Gallagher called The Chameleons. They're like a kind of before Britpop was a thing, quite anthemic rock band, but yeah, really good. I'd recommend giving them a listen. Swamp Thing is a hell of a tune that they've got, as well as Second Skin. I'd give them a listen. But anyway, enough about music. You can follow me on Twitter for that. We'll talk about Ipswich Town, so we'll see what's going on this week. Obviously, the way that this podcast works, I do a lot of pre-recording, and yeah, Ipswich playing on a Sunday. When was the last time we started the season on a Sunday? That's a bit unusual. So unfortunately there won't be a review of the Wigan game, but rest assured we've got something up our sleeves and we're going to do something a little bit different this week. And if you like it, it might be a format we go going forward. Obviously we've got the Fulham game in midweek, which we'll look ahead to in this podcast as well. We're going to do a little bit of a midweek mini pod, the mini match pod, something like that. I'll try and think of a better name as the weeks go by. But yeah, if you guys like it and want to hear more from me, I know I do a lot of talking as it is, then let me know, and it's something we'll do regularly because we've got a lot of midweek games this season. But anyway, let's see what's happened this week. We've obviously got the Arsenal under-21's EFL Trophy game to talk about, but let's see what else has been going on. So let's roll on into the news, guys.
News team, assemble!
Right, so Sunday, we learn our opponents for our second round tie in the Carabao Cup. So following on from Saturday's victory against Bristol Rovers, Ipswich are drawn at home to Fulham in the second round in a tie that takes place on Wednesday the 16th of September, so next week, with the winner going on to play the winner of the tie between Rochdale and Sheffield Wednesday in the third round, which will take place the week after. So Fulham achieved promotion to the Premier League via the playoffs, as I'm sure many of you watched. Of course, I still remember that mistake by the Brentford keeper. It was absolutely abysmal. But yeah, they returned to the Premier League after a single season in the Championship following their relegation in 1819, which is where Scott Parker took over. He took over after they had Jukanovic at the start, didn't they? And then Ranieri came in for a bit of a weird spell, and then Parker sort of just steered the ship towards the end and was tasked with getting them back up, and that's exactly what he did. But he was linked with us, I think. He did have an interview before we took on Paul Hurst. So yeah, tough test for us really in the second round. I thought we were going to be drawn against Palace. It would be sod's law after all that's been going on with Flynn Downs that we picked Palace. But no, Fulham it is. We've had a few dealings with them maybe the last few seasons, before they got promoted to the Premier League in 17-18. They'd been down in the Championship for a while, and Craven Cottage is a favourite for many away days for a lot of the fans. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we get on. I'm not sure how seriously they're going to take it, but they made some good signings. A lot of the players who were with them last year who helped get promoted. So Knockhart, I think, is joined on a permanent now. Cavallero, Harrison Reed, who's at Norwich on loan from Southampton. They've got a fairly good squad, and Parker seems like a good manager, a little bit more pragmatic than what they've been used to in the last few years. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on in the Premier League as well. I think they'll have a tough year, but they've got Mitrovic up there, who's a great striker and probably far too good for the Championship, to be honest. So yeah, I'll be intrigued to see how they get on. But as for Town, I've said it previously, I'm not too bothered about cup competitions. I think the win and the performance on Saturday were a bonus, really. We played really well. I don't know how seriously Bristol Rovers were taking it. They're sort of adjusting to life with their new manager, who joined midway through last season. They're still sort of shaping their squad, so I don't want to read too much into that. So it's just a good start for us. But if we can carry that on, it helps build that winning mentality. And yeah, hopefully, I'd like to see us put up a challenge, and if we go through, then that's a bonus. But just don't want it to cost us later down the line in the season. So yeah, I'm not too bothered about the Carabao Cup, to be honest, guys. Let's be honest, we all want to get out of League One, especially with the salary cap coming in. So let's hope we put up a good account of ourselves, but not go too far, especially because we're not there. It'll be typical that we get to the quarterfinals against Man City or someone and we can't even go. So that was Sunday. So Monday, saw the club asking for season ticket holders to register a social bubble in preparation for fans returning to the ground. So I don't know how much this is going to be changed. We don't talk too much about coronavirus on there. You get sick and tired of it from every other media source. But yeah, obviously it's looking a little bit bleak at the minute. We seem to be going backwards as opposed to forwards. And obviously the safety of all of you guys is paramount. We don't want to see some of the terrible scenes that we've had this year, and we don't want to see a repeat of this year, to be honest. 2020 will go down for all the wrong reasons, I think, for a lot of people. But yeah, obviously the deadline's passed now, but I think they had a decent uptake. I think it was about 60%. So yeah, it's good to see people sign up, but it's only if you feel comfortable. I don't think anyone should renew just on the basis that they paid the money. It's all about you can miss a few games in a football season. It's not going to be the end of the world. It never really is with Ipswich. You don't miss a lot. It's probably actually better not being there a lot of the time. So yeah, it's good news. But yeah, I'm a little bit anxious now. I think we all are with all that's going on. But yeah, enough about that. You hear far too much about that as it is. Tuesday, so you can go and get your vouchers now from the club shop. You've got up until the following Tuesday, so Tuesday the 15th, to go and collect these. So yeah, if you are going down there to collect your vouchers, just be a little bit civil and considerate to the staff. I think there's been a little bit of hoo-ha about how much is being distributed in the vouchers, but yeah, just be a bit civil to the staff. I know you might have a problem with how this has been dealt with. In hindsight, I'm sure the club could have done something better or found a better way of distributing these vouchers or doing it quickly. But, ultimately, it's not the fault of the guys working there. Just be a little bit civil with them. And, we're all going through tough times as it is. So that's the last thing they need. The reason why I think it's probably the case of going to collect the vouchers is because you can only spend them in the shop, can't you, or at Portman Road when you're back in the ground. So I think it's just a way of the club being able to keep as many people employed, by getting enough footfall through the door. So yeah, like I said, just be civil with them. It's not their fault. Also on Tuesday, so I'm not one to read too much into rumours, but it's been widely reported that the club has rejected one and possibly two bids for Kane Jackson from Bournemouth. So they were recently relegated from the Premier League and have lost Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser. That's a lot of attacking intent going out of their squad, and they're looking to bolster their squad and get back up, and Caden seems to fit the bill. But yeah, I believe it was £1 million, and the second bid was 2 million if that did come in, but seemingly we've rejected that and want to keep hold of Caden. But as we said in the squad review, he was our biggest contributor last season with 18 goal contributions in total, 11 goals, 7 assists. But that rejected contract is looming. That was just before the salary cap was introduced. It's still there. Caden's recently changed agents. I think they're Pantera Sports, who also represent Kane Vincent Young. So look out for that in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if they're shopping him about at some point if we're not doing too well. But yeah, this on the back of the Flynn Downs saga of last week, and then we've seen some signings going on. So Danny Graham going to Sunderland. John Jules has gone to Doncaster, wasn't it? There's been some good signings going on in the league, and it does leave you worried. Oh, and how could I forget? Sammy Schmodix has gone to Peterborough. We did call it, I think, in the season preview that's probably what they were going to do. They were making a big deal out of that vacant spot in their squad. But yeah, that's a good signing for them. I'm sure he'll come back to haunt us again this season. But yeah, it is a worry, and especially so close to the start of the season, to lose one, possibly two of your best performers from the last season. It is a worry. He came in. He's divided opinions the whole time he's been here, Caden. He's had the unenviable task of filling the void left when Waghorn and Garner and McGoldrick and Selina were left in the end of that 17-18 season. And I thought last year he was really good. I think it probably went a little bit under the radar how well he was performing for us in terms of numbers. He obviously has problems with his offsides, but 18 goal contributions was fantastic, and I think the overall disappointment of the season probably actually overshadowed how well he was doing. But yeah, in terms of him fitting into a 4-3-3, I really see him as a wide forward, but Paul Lambert made some comments that we'll go on to, that he seemingly is gonna line up as a striker for us if he does stay, which for me, I don't think that's his best position. For his ability and attributes, he's quite a pacey guy, but not great with his offside. You'd probably want him a little bit deeper and maybe running sort of across rather than straight in behind, so he doesn't have to worry so much about offsides. But yeah, I think if it was between him and Flynn to go, if I had to pick one, gun to my head, I'd probably say I'd let Jackson go, because we probably, if so long as people step up and we can get the best out of James Norwood, we probably could cope, to be honest. Whereas Flynn, he is integral to that midfield, I feel, and we would struggle without him. As much as we said last week, it might allow someone to step up. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know whether this was another case of a club trying to, test the water with us and see if it was just if they could get a cheap player who's performed well on a player on a good deal. But yeah, the difficulty we're obviously always going to have is if we sell anyone, especially one of our top players, the salary cap really restricts who we can bring in as a replacement. And I don't see us taking up this, loophole with the loan fees, because it just doesn't suit how we operate as a club. I think we paid quite a lot for Colin Quainar to come in 18-19, but I just don't see it. I really don't see it this season, us doing that. It's a completely unique scenario for us to find us in with a salary cap. We haven't experienced anything like this before. So I just don't see us taking that risk, especially on the first year of going down that loan fee option. But we'll see how that develops. I'm sure there'll be interest from other clubs as well. But hopefully, if he does go, we get a good deal for him, and maybe we bring in someone. If he does stay, then hopefully we get the best out of him. That's all I can say really at the minute, guys. Like I said, I don't like to read too much into rumours. There's a lot of stuff that you can't always guarantee is happening. The amount of accounts on Twitter that post transfer rumours is ridiculous, and loads of them are a million miles off the mark. It's just when one sticks, they sort of gain a little bit of validity. So yeah, we'll move on to the match review. So it's going to be a middle of the week match review this time. So we face Arsenal's under-21's. I swear they were under-23s last year in the EFL Trophy. Might be wrong, but yeah, Arsenal youth team. Might as well have been under-20s because they're also young. But yeah, we'll move into the match review then, guys. So the final score, Ipswich Town 1, Arsenal's youth team 2. Oh dear. Not a great game by all accounts, really. Started off dreadfully. I don't know how many of you watched on iFollow, but I thought, Christ, I've paid £10 for this. I've not got any commentary, and they've got the work experience boy on the camera rig, because he was all over the shot. He was watching a game of tennis, I swear, the amount of time he was sort of swinging from side to side trying to follow the ball. But yeah, Brenner did turn up after 10 minutes. They did work out that technical hitch. Some of you are probably a little bit glad that Brenner wasn't on, but in fairness, he gets a rough ride, and I don't think it's always deserved. You know, there's a lot worse commentators out there. Imagine having Steve McManaman all the time. Just count yourselves lucky. Be careful what you wish for. That's a good old Ipswich phrase. But yeah, so Town started really well. I thought first half we were quite good. Drinnan hit the post fairly early on. I thought he was going to get his first goal and Mark Heath was going to explode with excitement. But yeah, Calvin Candy was watching on. So from Django Unchained making his appearance, I'm sure that is the guys at Kings of Anglia who put him there. It must have been, especially what they tweeted earlier in the week. So there's quite a few out there, more than I thought of the cardboard cutouts. But back to the game. So Town opened the score and John Nolan bundled the ball home. But Arsenal equalised just before the half-time whistle, sort of against the run of play, really. A thread throughout the game, really, was anything good by Arsenal was going through Balogun. I think he's been training with their first team, and you could see his quality there. He sort of forced the corner, which led to their goal, and Town didn't clear their lines, and they're able to equalise just before half-time. And then second half, Arsenal looked a lot more comfortable on the ball, sort of grew into the game. I think Kenlock was playing him on side, but it may have just been a case of he was just moving in the wrong direction. His body position, the weight was wrong, and he just couldn't get back. But quite a simple goal. Balogun slid in and finishes well. So yeah, and after that, Town sort of momentum and gusto sort of went out of the game. I was really not impressed with Norwood when he came on. We were pressing quite well with Drinnan both on Saturday and in the first half of this game, but that completely died for about sort of 10 minutes of Norwood coming on. He's supposed to be really leading that from the front, but I'm not going to get too much onto him. It's his first appearance in a competitive game for us, and again, I've said over the weeks, I'm not really asked about the EFL Trophy, let's be honest. We went on that run last year, went all the way down to Exeter for us to lose to a Lee Martin goal in I think it was in extra time. So yeah, I'll be glad we're not doing that again. But yeah, a little bit disappointed in that second half, but we had chances to win it. I think Nolan's chance has been bandied about on social media, and I think he probably should have done a lot better. Norwood had one cleared off the line. Judge had a sort of tame header which was saved by the keeper, and Emmett Hughes nearly scored an absolute belter. But yeah, unfortunate result, but like I said, not really bothered about the EFL Trophy, and Cup competitions are the least of our worry this year, aren't they? So yep, that's the match review for that. Let's get back into the news. So Wednesday, midfielder Brett McGavin signs a 2-year contract to keep him tied down to 2022. So Brett made 4 appearances last year. He got his full league debut against Fleetwood. Had a bit of an unfortunate time in that one, as we've said. Hauled off at half-time, I think it was, in a 1-0 defeat at Portman Road. But it's hard to judge Brett where he is at the minute. We've not seen a lot of him in his senior appearances. Those other ones are coming the EFL Trophy, and they're glorified friendlies, let's be honest, until you get sort of knockouts where sides maybe start to take it a little bit more seriously. But yeah, it's good to see him signed up. I think from what I have seen, he's very tidy and calm in possession, if not, and unsurprisingly, a little bit raw. But yeah, I hope Brett gets a chance to go out on loan somewhere, at least at National League level, and a competitive side as well. Someone chasing promotion would be really good, or if you can get a loan move in League 2, that would be fantastic for us to sort of, it's worked for a number of players. We look at Wolfenden, he's now probably one of the first names on the team sheet, really, when he's fit, in the heart of the defence. Flynn obviously did well. Obviously came in when we were in the Championship, but again, an effective loan spell before coming into the first team, and that's a step which we need to take, really. There's a lot of guys that we've got, we just don't know really what they've got, and unfortunately we're not always going to be able to give them that first team experience. Looks likely that El-Mizouni might be another one going out. I was really gutted not to see him in that Arsenal game. I thought if we're going to see him at all and give him an opportunity to showcase what he can do, then the EFL Trophy is probably the best bet at this early point in the season, especially coming off the back of that injury he sustained at Cambridge. But yeah, I don't want to read too much into El-Mizouni not playing, but hopefully he does get his opportunity, because anyone who does pick him up is going to have one hell of a player, and he's going to be key to whatever they do in their seasons. But going back to Brett, he definitely needs minutes. We've got a lot of midfielders, and whether Flynn stays or goes, I still think his chances of getting in the first team would be very limited with us. So a loan move would do him well. We've seen a few lads that have gone out already, and it looks like the club are doing all they can to get as many lads out on loan. So as we spoke about, Harry Wright has gone to Sweden. I'm not pronouncing that team name again, even though it was right. And then something that we missed last week, apologies, try to cover as much as I can, but sometimes a few news stories slip through the cracks. So Bailey Clements and Kai Brown went to Dagenham, and I think Kai Brown scored at the weekend as well, so good start for him. So yeah, really key in these lads' development that they get these opportunities. I hope we sort of start to streamline our squad now in these early weeks. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but luckily we've got a fair few competitions to give people these opportunities, but really sort of thin out that squad, whether that be players that we know are going to be going out on loan, or players that we know are just going to be part of the under-23s, or players that maybe even surplus to requirements. We've got a lot of time. We've still got, it will be a month as you're hearing this, that we've got until the transfer window closes domestically, so we can still use that to get players out on loan. But yeah, that's definitely the step I'd like to see McGavin take, and hopefully we see him return as a better player. Cole Skeese is coming to the end of his time as a player. Hopefully, maybe he can fill in. He can fill in where Skeese departs. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how Brett does. So another signing on Wednesday as well. So Albert White, goalkeeper, 18-year-old, is signed. So obviously that's just to offset Harry Wright going to Sweden. We needed a backup keeper in the under-23s to back up Adam Shibek. I can't ever pronounce it right. I don't think we'll ever agree on what it is. But yeah, just a safe decision. I can't ever see him featuring for the first team, but just keep someone, in backup, in cold storage if we need him. I'm sure he'll get some game time at some point as well. But yeah, so that's another player through the door at Ipswich. They also announced the Golden Ticket Initiative. So ripping off Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. One lucky fan gets a tour behind the scene. No, they don't really. They just get to watch the game from the director's box. So I'm sure as this goes along, this will stop being a prize and be more of a punishment for whoever it is. So nominate who you want wisely. If they've done a fantastic job over the pandemic, or just generally deserve, a game, consider how well Ipswich are doing before you nominate them. So if you want to nominate anyone for this, get in contact with Dan Palfrey. He's the club sort of liaison officer. He does a fantastic job. So yeah, just get in contact with Dan. His email is on the club's website, but he's on Twitter as well. So if you want to speak to him on there, just give him a message. I'm sure he'll be able to help you out. But yeah, I'm sure there's many COVID heroes, people who've done fantastic work, a lot of selfless work during the COVID pandemic, and I hope they get their opportunity to watch the game and see us win. That's the main thing. Last thing we want is people given this opportunity, and it's an absolute disaster. But yeah. So not a lot happened Thursday, so we'll skip on to Fridays, and we all know what Fridays are about. It's press conference day. So yep, another Paul Lambert press conference. Probably a little bit more controversial this week than the previous week. So building up to the first game against Wigan. Big headlines really. Obviously Caden Jackson's story still rumbling around, but that's sort of been played down. But the big story is Flynn Downs. So Paul Lambert said he's got to fight for his place back into the squad. And I hate saying this, Idris El-Mizouni and Armando Dobra potentially going out on loan. So Going back to Flynn Downs, okay, I'm all for this, fighting for your place. If you've played well, you keep the shirt. But let's not beat around the bush here, guys. Flynn Downs, by far and away, is the best midfielder we've got at the club. If he's fit and available, he's the first name in that midfield trio, without a shadow of a doubt. Let's not kid ourselves here. So, the lads who have played so far, so Deezer has been terrific, sort of what we really wanted to see from Andre, now sort of taking responsibility and performing really well in that deep line pivot role. And then we've seen Teddy Bishop, he didn't play the full 90 minutes on Tuesday night, but had a good game against Bristol Rovers. Emma Hughes has come in as well, and then John Noland, who's sort of the divisive figure. But, let's be honest, Flynn's got to come straight back in if he's available, regardless of this interest from Crystal Palace. No matter how you feel, why should we damage ourselves if Finn is in a good frame of mind and fit to play? Why should we not select him? So we'll see what Paul decides to do. If he does come back into the team right away, I'd expect him to be in the 11 for the Wigan game. Obviously, I'm filming this beforehand, but yeah, I'd expect him to at least be in the squad. Maybe Lambert will just keep him on the bench just to keep him out of the firing line if things don't start too well. Questions might start to be asked by a few people if he's not playing well. But then I'm trying to be so positive this pre-season before the build-up to the season. Football isn't one on paper. I know there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and last weekend was a really positive start, and it probably put a lot of minds at rest. But we're talking about Idris El-Mizouni and Armando Dobra, two of probably the brightest prospects I've seen in my time as an Ipswich Town fan. I wasn't around, obviously, for your Kieran Dyers, your Titus Brambles, and all the names that came before that, and the few that came after that. For me, they're players that every time they've played, they've done something. They've got bums off seats, got people talking about them and wanting to see more. And I thought, this is their season where they'd be ready to really break into the first team. They've had opportunities, and like I said, every time they've been on the pitch, they've done something memorable that makes you talk about them. And what we've lacked in our squad is players that have got that element of being fearless, who are not afraid to, if they try 10 dribbles and only one of them comes off, they're still going to go for it again. They're just going to try and do everything they can to show them that they've got this swagger about them and show what they can do. But we've said on here we've got a bloated squad, and I'm not going to argue with that. But out of the players that have got to go out on loan, Dobra and El-Mizouni should be nowhere near that. They should be involved in the first team picture for me. But hopefully, once again, I'm made to eat humble pie, and these loan spells work really well, as they have done for Luke Wolfenden and Flynn Downs in the past. But it's just so frustrating. Like, I was so ready this season for him to light up League One and really fire us, whether we got promoted or not, just to have a really good year, just to give something to the fans to make us excited about our football club again. It's been a torrid time for all of us, and I thought these two lads coming through, having a whole season to do so, and that time may still come. It may come next season, but I need a moment. Oh, and to top that off as well, Kane Vincent-Young isn't going to be back for a little while. He's got his Achilles tendon injury. So, yeah, oh, Christ. I need a moment, guys. I really do. Oh. Anyway, so, like I said, unfortunately we won't be covering the Wigan game in this podcast. But, yeah, we've got something up our sleeves. So have a listen to this and see what you think. Join ITFC Unrestricted this Thursday for the first of our mini match pod series. This week we will look back at Town's first league game against Wigan, with some very special guests dropping by to have their say. We will also look back over Town's second round Carabao Cup tie against Fulham, before building up to Town's first away trip of the season as the boys travel to the Memorial Stadium to face Bristol Rovers. This new series will run in line with our regular Sunday 6pm show, allowing us to cover all the midweek action and giving you a detailed look at our opponents ahead of the matchday weekend. I hope you'll be joining us. Right then, guys, that'll probably do us for this week. So yeah, a bit of a short week this week compared to the last few weeks. Thank you for all your support on the specials. I'm sure they were a bit of a slog to get through at times, but I hope you enjoyed them. But yeah, going to be a bit of a different format going forward. Obviously, the games are coming thick and fast, and that's always going to be the main talking point from each week. Sometimes there's not a lot going on, especially when we're out of the transfer window. It can be very quiet on the Ipswich Town news front. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit more focus on the games. And if you like the special, I'm going to try and get it out on Thursday, and then we'll cover obviously what happened in the Carabao Cup against Fulham and build up to our second league game against Bristol Rovers. Yep, we're playing them again. So yeah, I think that's probably the format we'll go with. Sundays and Thursdays if we've got a midweek game. That's suggested by one of my lovely listeners. You know who you are. Very experienced podcaster, so I thank him for that. And yeah, just let me know your feedback, guys. I'm trying my best to deliver the best content I can, but I'm new to this. I'm learning all the time. So yeah, if I'm doing anything wrong, or if you'd like to see something different, then just let me know and we'll go from there. So if you want to see more of me, I'm on FNZ as well. So our Monday night show at 7, talking sort of the broader spectrum of the footballing world. Obviously that will keep getting busier and busier as football gets back underway. 90+3 is out as you're hearing this as well, so there'll be another episode every Sunday going probably all the way up till Christmas. We've got so many people booked in, some of the names that I gave away last week as well, so listen out for them. It's Chris Doig this week, so I'll be listening intently. I wasn't on that one, so I want to see how much they delved into Ipswich. It should be an interesting listen. But yeah, like I said, guys, just let me know what you want to see, what you want to hear. Feedback is always welcomed. It's all about opinions, as I keep getting told. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, guys. Take care. Thank you for watching or listening to this week's ITFC Unrestricted podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer and TuneIn. If you haven't already, make sure you follow, download or subscribe so you never miss an episode wherever you are listening. A new episode will be live on all platforms at 6 p.m. every Sunday. For more immediate reaction to all the latest town news, give me a follow on Twitter at rskid26. Go on, you know you want to. Until next week, I've been your host, Mark Beck. So take what you need, be on your way, and keep on following town.